in the Validation tab. This category of controls are designed to make it easier for you to add validation to your website. The next lesson in the series actually dedicates itself to validation. So I won't go into the details at this stage, but we'll just briefly discuss the various controls so that you can have an idea where we're heading. So first up, we have a control called Required Field Validator. If you add a Required Field Validator control to your web page, you can associate it with a text box, for example, and that means the user is required to enter a value in the text box at runtime. Otherwise, the web page displays an error message. And that's a very important aspect in lots of web applications where you're trying to gather lots and lots of data from the user. You have to ensure that the user enters values in all the required fields. So you'd use one of these controls to automate the validation process. It makes it very easy indeed. Okay, sometimes, as well as testing whether the user's entered a value, you want to ensure that the value lies in a certain range. And that's the purpose of the range validator control. The range validator enables you to specify the set of allowable values from the user. So, for example, you could specify a number between 0 and 100 to represent an exam mark. Or you might specify a date range. So, for example, you might specify that a date entered by the user must be after the 22nd of June and before the 3rd of October. Okay, regular expression validator. This is quite cool. Regular expressions enable you to specify a specific combination of characters. So, for example, you might have a postcode or a zip code or a telephone number or an email address or a social security number. Each of these have specific rules about the character combinations that you're allowed to have. So what you would do is define a regular expression which represents the allowable combination of characters and just add that to your web page. And ASP.NET would then guarantee that the user enters data in the correct format. So you don't have to do any complex text handling yourself. So that's quite a significant saving. Okay, the next one, Compare Validator. This enables you to compare a text box, for example, against either a fixed value or against another text box. One of the most common uses of this is where you have some sort of login page where the user has to enter their password and maybe where they have to re-enter their password, and you need to ensure that the user enters the same password in both text boxes. So the easiest way to do that would just be to slot a little compare validator control onto your web page and it would do it automatically for you. Okay, so if none of those give you the level of control you need, you can, if you want to, implement a custom validator. Custom validator lets you write your own comparison logic. You can write client-side logic and you can write server-side logic so that the user gets a chance to validate their data without involving a round trip to the server. So we'll see how to do that in the next lesson as well. Okay, finally we have a validation summary. The validation summary control presents a summary of validation errors at the bottom of the web page, typically, to capture and display error messages all in one convenient place for the user. Okay, so that's the list of validation controls.